The last few days, I've had a very specific kind of frustration. Just a steady sense that life is pushing back against everything I'm doing to maintain and improve myself. I invested time to understand the midlife female body and how to support it properly, and I do so a lot. Training is consistent, nutrition is structured, sleep is protected. Stress is at least partially managed. And still, the results are modest to say the least. Muscle beats slowly, strength improves, but the moment I pause, it fades quickly. I'm on HRT doing everything that's supposed to support it, and my estrogen levels are still on the floor. You look at all of this together and the signal is clear and unpleasant. Efforts is high, feedback is low. At the same time, there is a mental narrative that sits on top of this. Spiritual teachers talk about contentment, non-attachment to results. I used to teach the same thing as a yoga teacher myself, so I know the drill, I know the formula. Conceptually, it makes sense. You accept what is, you do your best, you make peace with the process. If life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. But there is another part that doesn't get said as often. Sometimes you want to throw those lemons right back, and hard, because patience thins, and effort without visible return does something to your willingness to continue. So even the most consistent, knowledgeable, and disciplined among us start adjusting without calling it that. Internally, acceptance lower. The range of what gets tested becomes smaller. You stay close to what you already know you can handle. It feels reasonable. It feels stable. It's slowly becoming limiting. So biology changes. That part is real, clear, and undisputed. The part that is rarely questioned is what gets accepted on top of it. The real danger is not getting weaker, it's getting used to it. The cost of maintaining yourself increases with age. Every year, ask for more attention, more structure, more consistency. At the same time, the return becomes less visible. The equation shifts. More efforts, less obvious reward. And this does not get fixed with the motivational quotes, gratitude journaling, or visualization boards. They have their place, but they don't solve this problem. We need friction, full stop. Without it, there is no signal to adapt. If nothing requires strength, strength is not maintained. If nothing challenges coordination or balance, those capacities fade quietly. Decline doesn't arrive suddenly and unexpectedly. It becomes acceptable in small increments. So the question becomes, how do you continue when the return is no longer obvious? Maintenance is possible. Incremental improvement is possible, but it's demanding. You hold position while conditions ask for more. You continue to load the system even when progress is not immediately visible. That becomes difficult to sustain when feedback is weak. Discipline alone doesn't hold. Awareness alone doesn't hold either. You need something more stable. 3 anchors make this work. A fixed structure. Decisions made once and not reopened daily. Training schedule. Movement through the day. Broad rules for food. It doesn't depend on how the day feels. It removes negotiation at the exact moment it becomes easiest to drift. Consistent exposure at the edge. Regular contact with what still challenges you physically and mentally. That's what prevents contraction. The boundary has to be touched, otherwise it moves inward. And the third, the real feedback. Know how it felt, not whether it was enjoyable. What actually happened? What moved? What held? What didn't? That's what keeps the loop brutally honest. When these three are in place, the process holds even when the return is low, because the body still responds to repeated input over time. Understanding doesn't create change. Intent doesn't create change. Only what is repeatedly done under demand gets retained. So, the question is not what you know. It's whether your structure holds, whether you still step into the edge, and whether you are willing to see what is actually happening. A simple check. Pick one action you've stopped testing. Strength, speed, balance. Something just outside your current range. Reintroduce it this week. Not full scale, not dramatically, just enough to feel resistance again. Because without exposure, nothing adapts. And in the next video, I want to take apart one assumption that keeps showing up among women. That there is one solution, one big, beautiful thing enough to fix all of this. One diet, one exercise program, one intervention, one supplement, something strong enough to bring strength, form, and stability back on its own. There isn't. I will see you next time.